Okay.
Okay, so you all know me. I'm Christy. Good morning. And Kelly, who doesn't know me, I'm a registered yoga teacher, 200 an hour, and now I'm becoming a Ayurvedic health educator. So today we're going to talk about the introduction of Ayurveda. So what is Ayurveda? Ayurveda is considered by many scholars to be the oldest healing science. It's 5,000 years old, system of health, and stems from the Vedic culture of India. Ayurveda believes that in order to be healthy, a person must have balanced senses, balanced elimination, and balanced mind and body. Key to the balance is addressing all aspects of a person's life, including mind, body, and spirit. And I think at this point I have to breathe. Okay.
It's a good policy.
It is a good
Is that my
policy.
knee?
Oh, okay.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. You gotta be
Okay. So the definition of Ayurveda, if you break the word up, Ayur means life or health, and Veda is knowledge and science. So Ayurveda is the science of life. It treats all aspects of health. And the three principles of Ayurveda is preserve health, promote the health of a healthy person, and prevent and cure the disease of the ill person. Ayurveda is a science that indicates the appropriate and inappropriate, happy or sorrowful conditions of living, what is auspicious or inauspicious for longevity, as well as the measure of life itself. And that is a sutra from Chakra Samhita, which is one of the texts of Ayurveda. Which brings us to, where does Ayurveda come from? The four main books of Vedic spirituality are known as the Vedas, which were compiled by sage Veda Vyasa. And I know that you've all heard of these books before. The Rig Veda, which is the book of mantra. The Sama Veda, which is the book of songs. The Yajur Veda, which is the book of ritual. And the Atharva Veda, which is the book of spells. And in the book of spells is where you're going to find Ayurveda. So Atharva Veda, within the book it contains the 8 branches of Ayurveda. The first is internal medicine, which is Kaya Chikitsa. Excuse my Sanskrit, still learning. The second is general surgery, which is Shala Tantra. The third is ENT, which is Shalakya. The fourth is pediatrics, obstetrics, and gynecology, which is Kumara Britiya. The next is psychiatry, which is Bhuta Vaidya. The sixth is toxicology, which is Agata Tantra. The seventh is nutrition, detoxification, rejuvenation, which is Rasyana Tantra. And the last is fertility and virility, which is Vajikarana. That's probably the most difficult part. So there's 3 classic texts of Ayurveda, which is Chakra Samhita, which focuses on internal medicine. The next is Shushrita Samhita, which focuses on surgery. And then Ashtanga Hridayam, in Ashtanga Sangraha, which was written by Bhagavata. And the first book focuses on internal medicine. The other one was written primarily in poetry, so it's really not a book they use as much. And just so you know, Samhita in Sanskrit means joined or collected, so it's the collection of Vedic material. Okay. This is the philosophy of creation. This is Samkhya. Okay, there are 6 philosophies of Ayurveda. It's called Shad Darshan, which Shad means 6 and Darshan is philosophy. And some of these books you've heard of already within yoga. Samkhya, Nyaya, which is logic and reasoning. The Vaisheshika, which is unique aspect of theory. And usually Nyaya and Vaishikas, they go hand in hand. Mimamsa, which is analyzing theory and understanding the truth. Yoga, which is the union of self. And Vedanta, which is the end of knowledge. And it means the end of book knowledge, not the end of study. You go into studying more of the philosophy. Okay, so if we break the word Samkhya down, before I do that, if you go on and read any other literature, you'll find that in some books it'll say Samkhya and some say Samkhya. I find that the more studying I do, it depends on who wrote the book and how the words are spelled. And that's in everything because it was written so long ago. So the translations are different for everybody. Okay, so San is truth, and Kaya is to realize, to know, and to understand. And Sankhya is the philosophy to discover and understand the truth of life, which I think is quite beautiful. And there's 24 principles in the manifestation of the universe. Oh, and I should have said that. There's some things like these 3 items here I added afterwards, so they're not in your information. So if I added it later, I tried to bold it. So, and you'll find the Samkhya information in the Rig Veda. So the rishis, or the seers of truth, perceive the close relationship between man and the universe and how cosmic energy manifests into all living and non-living things. They also realize that the source of all existence is cosmic consciousness, which manifests as male and female energy, which is Shiva and Shakti. Okay, so I'm going to explain the philosophy of Ayurveda to you. And that is this picture here. So, before I explain it to you, let me just say that just don't try and analyze it, because in philosophy, it doesn't always make sense right away. But if you listen to what I'm saying, I believe I can explain it to you in a way that you're going to understand it. Okay? So you can either just visualize the picture, or on the next page there's some information there in what I'm saying. Okay. This is actually the information. Okay. Okay, so if you look at I have to get the picture myself. Look at the top of the picture. You see Purusha and Prakriti. Then you see Mahad. Then you see Buddhi. Then you see Ahamkar. And then you see Sattva, Raja, and Tamas. Okay. So, Purusha and Prakriti are the scope of Samkhya philosophy. This is what it's all about. Purusha is unmanifested, formless, passive, pure existence. Prakriti is the force of action, the source of form, manifestation, attributes, and nature. And I read that slowly because that will help you to understand. understand what this is. The next is Mahad, which is cosmic intelligence. Okay, then the next is Buddhi, which is individual intelligence. And I'm just going through this quickly, and then I'm going to explain it in depth. Ahamkar is your ego. And then Sattva, Raja, and Tamas are the universal qualities that make up your dosha. Okay? Alright, so I want everybody to take their sheet. Take the sheet that they have. And I want you to look at it. And then I'm going to have you close your eyes and just listen. So focus on it for a minute. Take a deep breath. Only see the form and the words. Take a deep breath and close your eyes. Okay. The unmanifested state of Purusha and Prakriti is Brahman, which you all know. That is the state of pure awareness, pure consciousness. Purusha and Prakriti are together for the purpose of creation. Meaning, Prakriti is at the time of conception. So at the time of conception, Prakriti comes around, joins Purusha, which is the soul of who you are. Then it comes down, Prakriti then comes down through Purusha to Mahad, which is the cellular intelligence, the supreme intelligence. In every cell there is intelligence, and with each cell there's a unique function. For example, in a bone cell, the bone cell chooses and utilizes calcium, magnesium, zinc, and other minerals. Muscle cells choose protein. So the intelligence and the right order in the cells, which is called cellular intelligence, is Mahad. So there's communication between the cells, and this flow of communication, or intelligence, is what we call prana. So after Mahad, it went down and there was Buddhi. We're going to skip over Buddhi for 1 second and go to Ahamkar. Ahamkar was the ego. Ahamkar focuses on one thing, making it the center of vision. The moment I is formed, which is the center of, which is the center created in consciousness, Mahad then becomes Buddhi, because Buddhi is the individual intelligence. And then that goes down to the universal qualities, which is the 3 gunas, Sattva, Raja, and Tamas. And you can open your eyes. So did that help you to understand, or? Yes.
Will you just, one more time, say the difference between Mahad and Buddhi? Just those two.
Mahad is the universal,
Okay.
and Buddhi is the individual, which is formed when the ego is formed.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. But it makes better sense, yes.
Okay, all right. So then, after the ego is formed, Ahamkar, then you come down to the universal. The universal qualities, okay, which is here, the Sattva, Raja, and Tamas, okay, and then from Sattva you get the senses, you get the actions, and it's the mind. Okay? And then Raja is the principle of movement and change and acceptability. And then Tamas is inertia, resistance to change, darkness and confusion. And Sattva, which probably already know, but it's the pure essence of light, right action and spiritual purpose in life.
So there's 3 different types of energy.
Yes. And which comes off of the ego. And those 3 altogether it makes the dosha, but you get all the qualities from the 3 on the bottom. It's a lot of information in the short time. Okay, so the definition of Prakruti is the combination of and proportions of Vata, Kapha, and Pitta at the time of conception. Determined by genetics, diet, lifestyle, emotions of the parents at the time of conception. So, however the parent was feeling at the time of conception is how, like their lifestyle and everything is going to result in what the child's dosha is. And then unique psychophysical makeup and functional habits of a person. The Vikruti is the current dosha imbalance. So that's what the forms I had you filled out already. The first one, like I said, do it at a young age. That's your Prakruti. So you try and go back as far as you can to see what you were born with. And then the other form was the Vikruti, and that's your current imbalance. That's what's going on in your life right now. Now, this changes all the time. It's never the same. You can balance one dosha and then another might, it's, with life, it's rare that they're all going to be balanced at one time. Unless you're living in a monastery. And you have no stress.
Do people, for the most part, stay the same? I mean,
no,
I fluctuate a little bit, or, I mean, are you...
I was born a Kapha, and right now I'm a Pitta Vata.
Really?
It has to do with, I had hysterectomy, moving from the Midwest to living in the desert. All of those things have contribute to where your dosha is.
Okay.
And so you want to work to get back where it's close to is your original.
Right. You want to work to balance out. Yes. To the original is the best. So the definition of a dosha is bioenergy is composed of 2 of the 5 great elements that govern our mind, body, and spirit. The doshas are responsible for unique psychosomatic constitution and reside in different locations within the body. So, the 5 elements. The 5 elements are also called Panchamahabhutas, which is Pancha is 5, Mahabhutas is elements. And these are the building blocks of life. In each dosha are 2 elements. This is very important. And then, as I get on the bottom, the 5 elements manifest in the body as the 3 basic humors. It's also called constitution, or doshas, or vata, pitta, kapha. The 3 doshas together are called tri-doshas. Tri meaning 3, and the word dosha. So vata is made up of space and air. Pitta is made up of fire and water. Kapha is made up of water and earth. And in general, there's 7 types of constitutions, the 3 I just said, and then combinations. So it could be vata, pitta, pitta, kapha, or vata, pitta, kapha. It's just fun to say. And, okay. And so we're going to go through the doshas right now, and then we'll go through treatment and daily routines. The first vata is first dosha is Vata. Vata is always first. Because it is made out of space and air, it's constantly moving and changing. Ether, they say either ether or space. You'll see that in text, but space, I think, is the better of the two words, but I put it up there just so if you read something else, you'd know what it is. The qualities of Vata are dry, cold, light, mobile, subtle, and rough. So Vata, as I said, is a subtle energy associated with movement. And since it's composed of space and air, it governs the the breathing, blinking, muscle movement, pulsation of the heart. It sits in the main parts of the body, the colon, the bones, the wrist, ear, thighs, and brain. Each dosha has a season and time associated with it. The season for Vata is fall, September, October, November. And the time of day is 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. and 2 p.m. to 6 p.m.
What does that mean?
Yeah, does that mean I like the best?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to, as a Vata, if you're going to meditate, you're best to get up at 4 in the morning. And meditate.
Not in a meditating mood.
You can just do 5 minutes. So it's best to do it during the time if you're a Vata. Pitta. Pitta is fire and water. So it governs the digestion, absorption, assimilation, nutrition, metabolism, body temperature. Its qualities are hot, dry, light, penetrating, mobile, clear, subtle, and it sits in the intestines, small intestines, heart, liver, blood, brain, eyes, and skin. And because it is the digestive system, that's when you need the fire. Because the fire is what helps you break up the food so it can give nutrients to the rest of the body. The season attached to Pitta is summer, June, July, and August. The time of day is 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. or 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. And the peak is noon because that's when the sun is highest and that's the heat. Kapha. Kapha elements are earth and water, and the qualities are heavy, slow, cool, oily, slimy, dense, soft, static, cloudy. Because if you put the earth and water together, it would be heavy. So all the qualities are the qualities of the elements. Okay? Kapha also supplies the water for all the body parts and systems. Okay? And its main site sits in the mucosal lining of stomach, lungs, pancreas, sinuses, lymph nodes, joints, synovial fluid, nose, mouth, mastic tissues. And it lubricates all of the joints, the skin, and it also maintains the immunity system. The season is late winter, December, January, February, and the time of day is 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. or 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. And now spring is governed by Kapha and Pitta, and so Kapha is aggravated in early spring and Pitta is aggravated in late spring. And going back to Vata for a second, if Vata is balanced, it promotes creativity and flexibility. If it's out of balance, you produce fear and anxiety. If Pitta is in balance, you promote understanding and intelligence. And if you're out of balance, you produce anger, hatred, and jealousy. And then in Kapha, if Kapha is expressed is in balance, it's expressed as love, calmness, and forgiveness. And out of balance, it leads to attachment, greed, and envy. And I'm going to use this as an example for a second. And Lisa told me one day on the phone that when she eats hot peppers, it really promotes anger, which makes sense because if you are a pitta, it's fire. Peppers are hot. So all it's doing is it's bringing anger and it's bringing heat and your body doesn't like it, so it's expressed as anger. So it makes a lot of sense. Yes. Okay.
Because you're getting too much of pitta. Is that what it is?
Yes,
Or
if you're
pitta and now you're getting more?
if it's in excess. So she ate the peppers and the peppers were hot, so it's putting more heat into her system. So it comes out of her as anger.
It's like I like salsa, and it's really hot, and I was eating it, and literally my husband's like, do you notice when you eat salsa that you actually become aggravated at everything around you?
Interesting.
So you're saying that if her dominant dosha is pitta, she is pitta, that
Yes.
if she eats too much of the hot
Pitta foods.
Yes.
it aggravates it.
Correct.
But this, I have a question. I thought then if I was pitta, then that time of year then that was best for me wouldn't be in the summer. I thought the summer would aggravate me because more heat.
It does aggravate you more.
But then I thought that's not my peak if I'm pitta.
Not necessarily. You could be you don't have to be in the season to have that particular dosha high or low. It will peak in that season. But you don't have to be
Oh, a pitta.
Is peaking a good thing or a bad thing?
bad.
Oh, I thought it was a good thing.
No.
I thought that's when you're at your best.
Well, okay, let me just say, if it's a food that you're eating,
Yes.
it's raising the heat.
Right.
So that's what I was saying was peaking. So that's not good. That's bad.
But the seasons and the time of days, are those supposed to be good or bad?
Yeah.
Oh, these are good. These are good. I'm just saying if you ate, I was using you just the example of the food
Yeah.
to see how food could make a difference in.
But if
Right.
the food is hot,
But I'm saying though, if
Right.
you're saying the time is I'm supposed to be at my best, but then I'm saying, well, is it though if I'm a pitta and then in June, July, August it's more heat? Wouldn't it agitate me instead of make me at my best?
Okay, you have to be more aware during those months.
Okay.
Your would be, especially here in the heat. I'll give you an example. In the summer, I'm outside all day at the farmer's market, and I am a pitta. So when I get home, I'm dead to the world. I'm exhausted. I can sleep for 5 hours. It really just wipes me out. Though I am a pitta, now in the fall, I sit out there all day. I don't have a problem because I don't have that heat.
The excessive.
Yes,
Okay, so
excessive.
So what you're saying is if you're a pitta, June, July, and August, because they're hot months, are going to bring that dosha to their peak and cause it to go into an aggravated so you have to be more aware of it and concentrate more on cooling things at that time.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I
That makes sense.
misunderstood.
Okay, now I understand.
Yeah. I
Thank you
thought
for
the same. You're welcome. I thought the same thing that you thought.
No, it's confusing. I mean, this is a study of a lifetime, so to just go over it in 1 hour.
It's not black and white.
so the
No,
same
it's not
thing
like
with the time of day. So if it's like 2 p.m. on a June day, then that's going to be a more heightened time
for
of
pitta.
day for pitta.
Yes.
So that'd be a good
So you
time
have
to
to eat.
stay in where it's cool and have
Right.
a cool drink.
But maybe if you're
But
a
now-
papa,
yeah,
it'd be a
but-
good time to be outside.
But then again, Ayurvedics not believe in cool drinks because when you put a cool drink in the digestion, you put the fire out.
Oh,
You
that's
want the
important
fire
to know.
to work.
Your Dr. Ladd says he has a little phrase for it's. I'll think of it and I'll tell you. He has a little phrase. Dr. Ladd is Ladd, is that how you say it? Out of New Mexico.
Yeah.
He has a little phrase that he says. Cool drink. It's like a little kid. It sounds like a little kid's
rhythm,
drink. Yeah,
little rhyme.
yeah. And he says that cold drinks are bad, but he has it in like this like little kid's rhyme. The way he says it is hilarious. I'll think of it. I'll tell you.
So,
Yes. Here, let me go.
okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Okay, so here's where it all sits. I don't know, maybe this will help, I don't know. So the vata, because it's air and space, it's in the colon, okay? So if that is disturbed, then your colon is not working properly, you're not having proper bowel movements, okay? So, and then the pitta is in the digestive system, the fire in the stomach. And then the kapha is in the lungs, okay? The nutrients come from the food, so the prana from the food goes in and gives the nutrients from the body. And then also at the top, you have the prana coming through the crown chakra. It will fall into place, I promise you, okay? Ayurveda recognizes the uniqueness of each individual. So during evaluation and treatment, we look at, and this is the reason why it's not black and white, because you look at all of these factors. It's not just one thing. It's all of these. And then you do a treatment plan from this. In Western medicine, they look at you and they say, oh, there's it. That's what I was taught, and that is, here's the pill for this. But generally, they don't look at the scope of everything that's going on. I won't say every physician in the world does that, but a lot of Western medicine does that.
MDs.
Yeah. So in Ayurveda, we look at the physical health, mental balance, spiritual aspects, social environment, geographical environment, dietary habits, lifestyle, seasonal and the climate factors, relationships, and hereditary factors. And my example for this is when I moved here from Illinois, it was moist. We had 4 seasons. I didn't have an allergy. I moved to Las Vegas, it's hot, it's dry. I have allergies now. I have headaches now because my head is dry. Everything's dry. So, it really makes a difference, but when you move, nobody thinks of that. When I went to the doctor, they said, you're allergic to dogs. Get rid of your dog. I said, okay, well, that's not going to work. So, and I think that's why some people become frustrated with medicine is because we're not looking at the whole picture. We're only looking at one little thing. So I do also agree with there's a good combination of Eastern and Western, and that's what, that's right. Okay, so after we do a treatment plan and there's a diagnosis, there's a daily routine or a dinacharya that I'm going to suggest for you. So the daily routine is necessary to bring change to the body, mind, and spirit. The routine helps to establish balance in one's constitution. And routine aids in digestion, absorption, discipline, peace, happiness, and longevity. So this would be in the morning. A daily routine, you'd get up at the same time every day, give thanks, wash your face, scrape your tongue, brush your teeth, gargle. If you can do neti pot, nasal oils, you have bowel movement and do abhyanga or self-massage with an oil. And there's specific oils for your dosha, and then bathing. So as I was saying, time, season, and direction are all a part of the Ayurvedic plan, and time in Sanskrit is kala, seasonal is richacharya, direction is day. So my example for that is the time of day that you're eating your food, the season the food's in. Like right now, well, in the winter you have squashes and stuff like that. So that's like when you go to the Midwest, you have those seasons. So the farmer is bringing to the market the food you should be eating for that season. But we don't do that. We don't do it here, that's for sure, because we don't have that option really. But that's really how this started. When Ayurveda, obviously when years ago there were farmers and they would bring the food in and that's what you would eat. So you're supposed to eat to the season. So maybe I didn't explain that properly before. And then also they have a direction that you faced when you're preparing the food. So it is the east. And it's not feng shui, but just to give you an idea, they also have, I just forgot what the name of it is, I'm sorry, but it's sort of like the feng shui where things have to be in a certain direction, your doors in a certain direction, the house and all that. So direction is extremely important. The way the direction of sleep.
So if your kitchen doesn't face east, you should do a remodel. Is that what you're telling my husband?
It's just where the stove is. Where are you cooking?
Okay, I can still work with that.
Or where you
Sort of east.
preparing the food in the east.
Can you prepare the food in the east and put it in the west?
And do what?
Prepare the food in the east and cook it in the west. That's how my kitchen's done.
It's sort of sounds.
To be honest, I can't.
Now we're getting picky.
I'll find out. That's all right. No, this is good for me. This is exactly what I need. Okay, so there's a daily schedule, which says for each dosha.
That's funny.
So, Vata.
Holy moly.
I don't want to be a cop.
Is that
what you are?
Yeah, I'm not getting it before.
Okay, so if you choose, you can get up at the time that it says on the chart. So if you're Vata, you get up at 6 a.m., breakfast at 8, lunch from 11 to 12, supper at 6, sleep at 10, and you sleep on your back.
And Christy, does this? So this is something that you would try to follow so that you could help balance
Correct.
your. Okay.
It's part of the routine. And when you have a routine, just like when we do yoga, if we don't do yoga, we know how we feel. So this is just combining everything so you have, your body is working as efficiently as it was made to. And it's a process. It doesn't, and nothing that happens overnight.
And apparently, Vata needs a little more sleep.
Like a couple gets no sleep.
I
Bed till 11 to midnight, up at 4:30.
That's crazy!
Crazy.
And couples are slow, so I would think
They don't need it.
that
Maybe
that's
they don't
gonna
need
be
it
They
so
don't
much
have a
sleep.
nap.
I need sleep.
Well,
That's interesting.
Well, if you're a cop and you're
you
slow
can
and you
get up
sleep
later
too
than
much, it
4:30.
can make you
You don't
slow.
have to.
Yeah. Or is it going to make you
Well, and
more
look at
tired by
the
not
scheduled
sleeping?
times to eat. 4:30 you get up, and you don't have dinner until 7 to 8. You're probably like starving by then.
Well, you eat it at 7 a.m.
Once you start, but when you start to make changes in your life, then, when you first look at it, everything looks drastic. But when you start to make small changes in your life and you start to do things, then it just becomes the norm.
Yeah, and it gets to feel comfortable.
Yeah. And especially when you feel better.
Especially, yeah, if your dosha likes it.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, when we follow the schedule, though, if we're Pitta now, or when we were Pitta, when we were our original constitution, which one do we follow?
Well,
Are you gonna tell us?
when I do the case study,
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a plan.
Oh, okay.
And you're going to choose whether you want to do it or not. And it's
Okay.
going to include herbs and the diet and
Count me in.
everything you need. And you don't have to, and just because we do this, you can say, Chrissy, I'm not doing this. I don't want to do it. And that's fine. It's up to you.
But you have to do it. You either have to do it 100% or you're not doing it, right? You can't say, I'll do all this with these 3 things.
It's best if you do the whole
Okay.
thing. I wouldn't tell you yes or no on that.
Right.
That's
I'm a
really-
vegetarian, so if you tell me to eat meat, it's not going to
No, 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 no. No, I would never say that.
Nothing drastic.
All right. Okay, so the exercise for Vata is yoga, walking, tai chi, bicycling, and dance. Those are just some. It doesn't
Put
have,
yoga in all of them, just for like us.
yoga and Ayurveda are sister sciences, so they close in everything.
Okay.
Time to exercise for Vata is 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. And if you're going to do it in the afternoon, it'll be 4 to 6 p.m. For Pitta, yoga, hiking, tennis, mountain climbing. And the times would be 5 to 6 a.m. or 5 to 6 p.m. And now, Pitta and Vata, you're doing things that aren't. Let me see. Like when you do yoga, you're going to hold the poses. You're not going to do a fast asana because Vata is space and air, which is in your head. So if you're in your head, you want to come back down to your heart. So you want to do things that are grounding and not. So like bicycling for a Vata, you wouldn't do on a windy day. So and then Kapha, yoga, running, racquetball, soccer, and exercise 8 to 9 or 6 to 7. And for Vata, for Kapha, you want to do aerobic. You want to sweat. So, which is not, it's not easy.
There's a slight problem if I'm not getting up till 6 a.m. I just like did my exercise in my sleep or something.
Right, for 4 days. I'm
Otherwise, to get up earlier. Okay.
So Vatas get 2 hours to do all that, and Pittas only get
Between
1.
those times.
We
Yeah.
have to go
I just did. You can get up early. I don't. To be honest, when I put 4 a.m. I'm like, I should have just done 5 because I don't know who's getting up at 4. Actually, but 4 a.m. to meditate is like one of the best times to meditate. If you can get up at 4 and start doing that every day, it'll change your life. I meditate every day though.
I meditated yesterday and I thought of you.
Thank you.
Well, that's really kind of cool because the Vata is peaking, so it's a good time to
Yes.
meditate. And your 1 meridian in Chinese medicine is also peaking
And
between 3 and 5, so that's the time to meditate, 4 o'clock. So
in
that's pretty
traditional
cool.
Chinese medicine and Ayurveda are very closely
similar.
connected.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Okay, so for the yoga teachers, I put this in.
Cool.
The sun salutation for Vata, done slowly. Leg lifting, you can do camel, cobra, cat, cow, and you want to do it slow and gentle. A Pitta, sun salutation, moderate pace, fish, bow, calming asana. And then Kapha, sun salutation, done rapidly, so Ashtanga would be a good practice for a Kapha. Bridge, peacock, tree, lion, and, I just said the Virasasana. The best resource for your dosha and your yoga would be David Frawley's book, Yoga for Your Type, and he wrote that with Sandra Summerfield Kozak.
I have it if you want to look at it. Is he the same one?
The other thing you wanted to do is a pranayama practice. So for each dosha, there's a different pranayama practice. For Vata, you do alternate nostril breathing. That really helps balance you. And I put these in just in case you don't know what they are. You have to probably blow that up, or I can send it to you. Pitta, you want to do left nostril breathing, and it creates a cooling effect in the body and enhances female energy by enhancing female energy. And then right nostril breathing for a Kapha, and that creates a heating effect in the body to stimulate the male energy. And Ujjayi breathing is tridoshic, so you can do that all the time. You can do that with your yoga practice. The other thing you want to add is meditation. So with Vata, you can do loving kindness meditation or metta bhavana, and Pitta yoga nidra, which is a cosmic sleep, and if you want to do that, you can do that with Karen. Or you can do Richard Miller, you can download on YouTube, and I can't remember who else. Swami Satchidananda, I think is that yoga nidra? Anybody? Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I always want to call it Amy Winehouse. So yeah, Amy Weintraub. And a little different. And then for coffee, you can do the Soham meditation. Now, with any, let me go back to the breathing for a second. In a pranayama practice, if you don't do one now, make sure you do it. You start it out slowly and build it up, because if you don't, you can get lightheaded. Some people can feel a tightness in their chest. So you just want to be careful and do it slowly, and as always, be kind and loving to yourself.
What was the Pitta meditation one you said you
Yoga Nidra? Have you ever done that? Karen does the Yoga Nidra here?
Oh,
You should.
you should do one.
Yeah, it's really
It's like
good.
an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You take it and you go to sleep?
You go in a state of,
Deep state.
yeah,
It's a guided relaxation.
you can fall asleep.
People
Some
do
people-
fall
yeah.
asleep. She
but
has a
you
class
said-
on the 29th.
You said something about
Richard Miller.
Richard Miller and Amy
Weintraub. It's like WEIN.
E-R-A-U-B.
Yeah.
She's the one that Karen studies with. Miller.
Miller.
He does iRest.
And he's sort of the originator of
Is he in the United States? I don't really know.
Yeah.
Is he?
Look at the English. He's not.
So, in conclusion, Ayurveda enables us to understand how to create a balanced mind, body, and spirit according to your own yoga constitution, and how to make lifestyle changes to bring this about and maintain this balance. So I am going to end with, this is a sutra from Sushruta Samhita, Sutra 15, and this is really what Ayurveda means. It's the health is the equilibrium of doshas, the stability of Agni, proper functioning of Dhatu, proper and timely excretion of Mala, pleasing state of soul, senses, and mind. These are the references that I used. I love Dr. Ladd. He's the best. So you can go to his website also, which is on the next page, and you can get a lot of information from him on Ayurveda. And the website's on the bottom, the Maharishi Ayurveda and the Benny Botanicals. Those are the two that you can get the herbs from. So when I do the protocol, I'll discuss that with you. But what's nice about Maharishi Ayurveda is they do mantras and chants over all their herbs. So everything's like supercharged. Both of these companies also treat the farmers well. So that's another thing. So it's not only putting something in your body, but knowing where it comes from and you know how it's produced and who's handling it. And the same with your food. You want to make sure you know where your food comes from. When you cook, do not cook angry, because all the anger goes into the food. So now your food is filled with angry prana. So, yeah, angry energy. So you want to make sure that you take that step to put a smile on your face when you cook it.
Or get out of cooking by saying you're angry.
Either way, I don't want to hurt you by putting this in your food. I'm going to hand it not cook it.
Yeah.
And these are the references that I used, and the only one that wasn't on the other, well, the three things. The textbook of Ayurveda, the fundamental principles by Dr. Vasant Lad. His institute is the Ayurvedic Institute, and there's his website, and then the San Diego College of Ayurveda.
Which school are you studying? Which course? The San Diego?
Yeah. So, that is it. Thank you very much. I hope you have any questions.
Can you go over that all again?
Yeah.
Do over?
Sure. Well, if you just, we'll do the case studies and it'll start to sink in a little more, because I'm going to give you information and diets and food and stuff, so it'll start to make a little more sense to you each time you do it. But
Are you only doing adults for case studies? Would you be open to doing my daughter as well?
Sure.
She's almost 14.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Okay.
All right. Do you want to do verbal feedback?
You want us to give you feedback
I do.
on the presentation?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I thought
Just
it
like
was
back in
very well
school.
organized.
Just
I would like a longer one.
Mhm.
There's lots of information. I think everybody had lots of questions, very interesting, and I think you did it beautifully. So
Who's your
we should do one.
Who's your normal like target audience gonna be? Like, is it like always gonna be to yoga instructors or
No,
people that know nothing about yoga?
both.
Okay, so for me,
Yeah.
like, a lot of it was like, like, cause I don't know the terms of, you know, I'm not an instructor and I'm not a teacher, so I don't know, a lot of the terms in here.
Okay. That's
Like,
a
I
good
remember
point.
thinking there are some things like, well, I don't know what that is. Like, there was a couple of times that you had said, well, you guys probably know what da-da-da. And you're right, I'm sure everybody, but I was like, I don't know. But I didn't know if you were gonna teach to yoga instructors, and so then that just didn't apply.
I'm going to teach to everybody.
So maybe if it was a longer presentation, maybe even with a short break in the center of it, so that you would have more time to specifically stop and define some things for those that are not
Yeah,
in
think
the yoga community.
Well, I kind of wonder if you might want to teach a different class to yoga instructors and
Okay.
people in a yoga community that are not. Like, I practice yoga and I do yoga, but I'm still learning all of the names. Like, I can't tell you the difference between Ashtanga and Vinasana, whatever.
No, it's a good point because, and that's what my plan is to do different classes depending on who the group is that I'm teaching. So
Yeah.
and one thing I want to be able to do is bring it to the public for the people who don't have insurance can. So it wouldn't have the philosophy and the history and all that. It would just be more about the practice and the routine and all that.
And all of that.
The herbs and food and so
But,
it
you
wouldn't be as much, but thank you very much. Cause
Yeah, I mean, I like the philosophy and I thought that was interesting. I would like to know more about it because I've just not. This is the first time I've ever heard of it. Is in here.
Well, and that's
Wow.
the thing is, it was a little hard for me to bring it down to just 1 hour because
Right.
Yeah.
realistically, the philosophy is a class,
Yeah.
the history, and then going into the doshas and splitting each
Right.
up. So, but yeah,
Yeah, I could
I
see
can
it
make it
easily
more-
being a 2-hour workshop
Right.
easily.
Yeah.
Well, now we know why you were here today, Kelly.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
this
Christina
is really
explained it to me, and I was
important
like, well, that's
feedback. I would have
really.
never thought of it.
Yeah. I'm
You
like,
know,
that
I
sounds
can think of
interesting.
an example of what you're talking about. For example, because I know a lot of these terms in Sanskrit, but what I'm really interested in, and I'm sure somebody that comes because of the topic, is the topic. So if I were new and I didn't know any yoga at all, like this handout right here, this will be my example I give as the kind of thing I can think of, is that here, instead of it saying Purusha and Prakriti, it would say what that is in English,
More
and then
layman's
maybe
terms.
little
Right.
bitty in parenthesis under it in the Sanskrit. So ahamkara, instead of ahamkara, it would say the individual ego, or the individual, or however you want to
Right.
put it, and then little bitty under it ahamkara. And you can let them know, this comes from the Sanskrit, and there's a lot of Sanskrit words, and I
Right.
put them there for your interest, but what's important is what it means, and that's what we're going to talk about. Maybe for people who don't know any Sanskrit at all, maybe something like that.
And I
And
think
keep it brief on the
it-
philosophy, and then
yeah, I wouldn't even
do the
go
practical.
because you're yoga teachers. I did
Yeah, I like
go
knowing
into the
this.
more
I
of it,
felt like
but
this.
yeah, you're right.
That
I,
helps me see the big picture.
I wouldn't use that for an
People like
average
me.
class.
But I think too, it's not just I didn't feel like it was geared to yoga teachers. I felt it was just more people who are seeking this out. Maybe not all people, but they're probably going to have more of a tendency to, want a more holistic, natural solution to things. So they might be a little
More
more
interested.
familiar with some of the terms. They don't necessarily have to do yoga to know those terms. You know what I mean?
Well, but I think if it's a general public, I wouldn't put the
Right.
philosophy
Right.
in.
Not
I
too
would
much
maybe,
training.
or it could be, I would explain to what it is, and then if they wanted to expand on it,
Right.
I would
Yeah.
give a class that is a little more extensive.
Yeah, that sounds really
Yeah.
good. That sounds really. I loved when you just started talking about what was there
Right.
and explaining and
Mhm.
giving examples, and it was like you were just so relaxed, and it was like interesting, and it was conversational, and you were just, it was very, very, very nice. Like, using it as a guideline to look at and then be able to talk about what's each of those things. I thought that was great, you know, that you did, that you used your PowerPoints that way.
Yeah, I was a little nervous in the beginning.
Yeah, well, we don't count that part
The
because that's the
material
nerves,
is
but
good. Yeah.
yeah, it's very good. So,
Nita,
Yes.
do you have something you'd like to say?
Oh, is that odd for me to say no? I don't really have any.
No, you don't have to say anything.
No,
You could put it on the paper.
no, and I'm just trying to visualize the whole thing as a, because one of the questions it asks here is, was an appropriate amount of material covered in the presentation? And putting it into an hour, if and I know quite a bit of this, it felt like a little overwhelming. Like I was searching my mind, like okay, what is that? And I was trying to even make little notes and stuff like that. But I think we were just trying to fit you. I mean, you planned on doing this for 2 hours, from 2 to 4, and I knew that I could
Well-
only be here for an hour. So I think,
Actually, I only planned on it for an hour,
okay,
but because I wanted to do the interviews for the case studies.
okay.
So, yeah, you're right. 1 hour is
A bit much to absorb all that information, because I probably could have asked you 10 more questions about
Right.
about
That's what I was
things.
saying, yeah.
So because I mean it's amazing information,
yeah.
and I like that I had it here. Although I really wish I would have had my glasses with me. It's tiny. And maybe that's something else you could do. These boxes could have been a little bit bigger. I like that I had it here, but I could also look up there. So I think for as much information as here, 1 hour was too short. Is too short a time.
Right.
To do that.
Yeah. I think you're right. It was too short.
I think that it would be really helpful on that part about the seasons and the times of day and all that, to maybe just give the basic explanation of what that means, that that's the season of it, what does that mean, and then have some examples of how you would use that knowledge in a practical way. Say, for example, and then have an example of a person who's, say, a pitta, and what happens in summer with pitta, and how is that knowledge valuable that it peaks in summer? Because then you can use it to, I don't know enough about it, I mean, you would know. So, but maybe to have like a couple of practical examples of how that knowledge is used in Ayurveda.
Good idea.
Statements like, because we started getting it when we were talking about, okay, so if you're a pitta and it's 2 o'clock on a July afternoon, you don't want to sit down and eat a hot burrito, or because you throw it out of balance. And somebody said, well, that's, I think Kathleen, that's a time to go inside and have a cold drink. And you said, no, not a cold drink. Because, so I think it would be really helpful if you could have, for example,
Yeah, because actually I shouldn't have brought that up, because that really then brought it into food, and nutrition is a whole separate section.
but for example, at 2 o'clock,
Yeah.
this is because we were confused
Yeah.
about
Yes, I
what does
should have,
that mean,
Yeah.
peaking.
you're right, I should have more examples. It would have made it a little
Well,
easier.
just a suggestion, just.
Well, when you,
I love the suggestion.
Yes.
yeah, when you do your trial run is when you
Right.
find out,
Yeah.
oh, okay, that's what I need to, yeah.
Right. Well, best to do it in front of you girls. Best to do it in front of you guys, so I get really good feedback
Yeah.
and good